Hey, how you doing? This is Craig back from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome into today's video, which is entitled Quitting or Cutting Back on Alcohol. Because there's a part in my course, my online course at StopDrinkingExpert.com, and in my live event, my Quit Drinking Bootcamp that I take around the world. And it's about halfway through where I ask you a question. And I say to you, okay, you've heard what I have to say about alcohol. Now you have a decision to make, and you've got three choices. You can A, moderate your drinking. You can B, stop drinking completely, or C, you can carry on doing what you've been doing. Now, in my 7 or 8 years of doing this, nobody's ever said C. Nobody's ever said, you know what, Craig, I've heard everything you have to say, and I've decided I'm just going to carry on. Maybe some people have thought that, but nobody has ever put their hand up or sent me an email saying, it's C, Craig. So that's great. But very rarely, and I mean it is very rare, it's like once or twice a month, it maybe happens one person in 3 boot camps will say, Craig, in all honesty, I'm at A. I've heard what you have to say, and I still think I'd rather moderate my drinking than quit drinking completely. What does that mean? And so I thought I'd make a little bit of a video about that to explain what it means and what you do. Now, before we go any further, let me just remind you that I do have a Quit Drinking Bootcamp coming up in Dublin, Ireland for the first time. If you want to come, now is the time to get your ticket, stopdrinkingexpert.com. Then I'm in London, then I'm in New York for the final time this year, okay? That will be the last bootcamp of the year in November, and then there will be nothing until February 2020. So if you want to come to bootcamp, now is the time to make that decision. And while I've got you here, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So, if you've been doing my course, or you've come to boot camp and you've come to the conclusion you don't want to quit, you want to moderate, what does that mean? That means that you still believe there is a benefit to drinking poison. Now, that could be a conscious belief, or more likely, it's a subconscious belief. That you've connected something in your life so fundamentally to alcohol that you haven't broken that link yet. And I'll give you an example. About 6 months ago in London at a boot camp, a lady put her hand up and said, Craig, I'm at A. I said, okay, tell me about it. Why are you at A? Why do you want to moderate your drinking and not quit? She said, well, you know, I have some very good gin at home, very expensive, very posh, very good gin. And I have to admit, when I come home from work after a stressful day, I like to pour myself a nice gin and tonic. And you know, the answer to the problem here is all in her language. You can tell from her answer to that question where the problem is. Good gin. I have some good gin at home. That's an oxymoron. It cannot exist. It's like saying, oh, I've got some good cancer. It doesn't make any sense, because that just says you've fallen for the illusion of the packaging and the marketing around this bottle of poison. There is no such thing as good quality alcohol and poor quality alcohol. Because alcohol is the same thing. It's made the same way, no matter how much you pay for it, no matter how much the bottle costs, no matter how pretty it is, it's made the same way. Alcohol is what happens when you throw a load of vegetable matter into a bucket and you let it rot. The stuff, the pus, the discharge that leaks out of that decaying fruit and vegetable matter, that liquid is alcohol. It's just what happens when fruit rots and goes bad. So there's no way to get good quality discharge and poor quality discharge. It's the same thing. So, you know, if you think you have good quality alcohol in your house, you're just falling for the illusion that has been created by the alcohol company, by the marketing, that says if you drink this type of alcohol, you are elegant and refined. And if you drink this type of alcohol, then you are a bum. But let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether you drink the cheap cider on a park bench out of a brown paper bag, or you drink $500 a bottle Chateau Lynchbage. It won't make any difference when you go to the hospital and the doctor tells you you've got end-stage liver failure. The doctor won't say, you've got liver failure, but the great news is because you've been drinking the good stuff, we can probably fix this. Doesn't happen like that. So listen to yourself, listen to the language that you're using around this drug. And if you're inserting words in there that don't need to be there, then that's a big clue that your thinking, your programming is misaligned. You know, if you talk about gin and you insert the word good, that's weird in itself. You wouldn't say that about other stuff. You wouldn't say, you know what, tonight I'm going to have a really good carrot. Or you wouldn't say to your partner, let's have carrots tonight, but let's use the good carrots. Carrots are carrots. And alcohol is alcohol. But sometimes we found this way to convince ourselves, to justify to ourselves that this poison is okay because it's expensive. That's garbage. I get it though, because when I was a drinker, part of my delusion, part of my denial was to buy really expensive wine. And I would fall into the trap of following the lead of the marketing, and I would refer to my wine in the rack as fine wine. This isn't just wine, this is fine wine. And it's bullshit. It's only fine because some other human being said, this is expensive. That's it. There is no other justification. Maybe the vineyard is many hundreds of years old. Maybe the guy who owns the vineyard has a lot of confidence. Maybe he's done a lot of research and he's marketed really well and he's invested in his brand. But that's the only justification. There is no difference between a fine bottle of red wine and a bottle of red wine. It's the same stuff. It is poison in a pretty bottle. It is poison diluted in fruit juice enough that you will tolerate it. And so, if you still believe, having listened to everything I've told you during the course or at bootcamp, if you still believe in the concept of fine wine, good gin, then that is just a big red flag that says your programming is misaligned in this area. How do you deal with it? That's the next important thing. Well, identifying the truth is half the journey here. Because as long as you hold on to this belief that there is such a thing as fine wine, good gin, luxurious champagne, as long as you're inserting these words, as long as you hold on to that, then you have a problem. As soon as you accept that that is a problem and your language around it is the symptom of the problem, then you're halfway there because now you can deal with it. It's very difficult to deal with a problem that you don't know you have or you don't accept that you have. I always tell people this is not a journey you can take half-heartedly. It's a bit like, dealing with your drinking problem is a bit like pregnancy. You either are or you aren't. You can't be a little bit pregnant. It's a bit like veganism as well. You're either a vegan or you're not. You can't be a little bit vegan. Because if you're a little bit vegan, guess what? You're not a vegan. You're just a normal everyday person who eats what they want. It's the same with dealing with this problem. You're either sober or you're not. You either believe that alcohol is poison and you don't want it in your life or you don't. So if you've got these areas where your programming's wrong, you need to focus intently. You have to get passionate about this. Don't do it half-heartedly. Become an expert in how this drug is manipulating you, how the alcohol industry is playing you for a fool, how the marketing around this attractively packaged poison is designed to create an illusion, that illusion of refinement and luxury and social standing. It's all garbage. It's all created to manipulate you. So become fascinated in this. Become an expert in it to the point where you could teach it to someone else. You probably will never do that, but that's the level of commitment and passion you need to get around this subject. Read the good books, do the courses, come to boot camp, watch the YouTube videos, download the podcasts, make it a part of who you are. It's Make it unavoidable. It's just a part of your life. And use all the tools in the box that I give you. Use the daily hypnosis, because you know you have something in your subconscious mind at this point that you can't access. Because by design of nature, we can't manually access our subconscious mind. And the reason is pretty simple, because that part of our brain is doing a lot of really important stuff. Beating our heart in perfect rhythm, controlling our body temperature, our respiration, aware of all sights, sound, and smells. We can't be trusted to access this part of our brain. If we went in there tinkering around, the chances are we'd kill ourselves in about 7 seconds. So we have this part of our brain that we're prevented from accessing. And so you have to use some smart tools to do this. And the hypnosis tracks that you get as a part of the course or when you come to boot camp is a great way to accelerate this process. What I would suggest to you at this point, if you genuinely are still at A, if you're genuinely at the point where you're thinking, I just want to moderate, if you're doing my course, go back to the start and start again. It's not a bad thing. You know, if you listen to the entire course in one sitting, you're going to remember about 20% of it maximum. If you listen 5 times, maybe you'll remember about 40% of it. If you listen 10 times, maybe you're getting to 80%, and so on and so on. Repetition is the mother of learning. So go back and start again. Build this a part of who you are. What you need to get to the point is where if we chopped you in half, it would say sober right through the middle of you. This is what you need to do. You need this level of passion. If you need any more help, drop me a line, drop me an email, post a comment on the YouTube channel, and I'll try and get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, boot camp coming up in Dublin, London, then New York. Hopefully see you there soon.